It's time for Big Witty Style now, and a fresh Tory civil war seems to have erupted after Chancellor Jeremy Hunt took a swipe at his former boss Liz Truss for her mini-budget last year. Watch this.
I think it's been more coherent than you might think, with one exception. Yes, there were some mistakes in the mini-budget which we had to reverse, and in particular I think it's clear you can't fund tax cuts through increased borrowing. So that is a clear thing that we changed course on.
Now, understandably, Truss hit back with a spokesperson for the former PM saying Liz was always clear that you can't deliver economic growth and thus reduce borrowing by hiking taxes. Raising corporation tax from 19% to 25% looks like a pretty bad mistake right now when you consider how a firm like AstraZeneca is locating its new plant in Ireland, where corporation tax is half the rate now being levied by the British government. The Treasury looks like it will lose revenue as a result of that decision. And Truss is not alone in her concern, with fellow Tory backbenchers, but big names like Priti Patel, John Redwood and Boris Johnson himself, all seeming to slam aspects of Chairman Hunt's budget. Well, Anne Widdecombe, the former Conservative Party minister, joins me now. So, Anne, you know I'm Team Truss all the way on this. Where do you stand?
Oh, I'm definitely Team Truss in principle. I think in practice she mishandled it. She herself acknowledged she tried to do far too much, far too soon. But she was certainly on the right track. She's absolutely right about corporation tax. You've got the proof in AstraZeneca, and you're going to have more proof because firms won't come here. Why should they come here? Why should big, successful companies come here and pay higher tax than they would pay if they could go somewhere else? The whole idea of being competitive, getting out of the EU, was that we were going to be competitive. We won't be so long as we keep taxes high. Now, the other thing is the very raison d'etre of the Conservative Party is to be a low-tax, low-spend party. It has abandoned that completely. Now, I understand that during COVID, it had to spend money that it wasn't expecting to spend. I understand that. But in general, you keep control of spending and you keep taxes low if you're a Conservative government. I mean, as I've said before, we don't have a Conservative party at Westminster. We've got a red party and we got a pale pink party.
Yeah, and I think it is so depressing to see so many Tories who didn't go into politics to be pale pink coalesce around Hunt. I don't get it. You know, no one wanted Hunt, Anne. Like, he completely flopped in the leadership election last year. I don't understand why everyone's just accepted, oh, this is the bloke who should be Chancellor and he's got to raise our taxes and increase spending. It's bonkers to me.
I think what we're looking at is Remainers' revenge, basically. Liz Truss was bringing a really competitive Brexit approach to the economy, and the Remainers were terrified that it might succeed. Now, as I say, she did mishandle it, and it wasn't going to succeed in the short term. But I think that they were terrified that it might succeed in the medium to long term. And indeed, even the IMF said that we would have the highest growth in the G7 if we'd gone ahead with that. And growth is the only way you can control inflation and have a healthy economy and lower taxes. You need growth.
Yeah, and they didn't let her succeed, Anne. They didn't let her succeed because she was challenging too much of the economic orthodoxy. And look, absolutely, maybe there are a couple of things in that mini-budget that she shouldn't have done immediately, and maybe there are a couple of things that should have gone through the proper Office of Budget Responsibility process. Like, fine, but for the Conservative Party now and for its Chancellor to defend such a hike in corporation tax, which goes completely against what the rest of the world is doing, I honestly believe if they continue with this approach before the next election, they will be finished off. Because what is the point in voting for a Conservative Party that is going to increase your taxes?
Well, exactly. And I mean, we're talking about the big corporations, but just look at the ordinary individual. With thresholds kept as they are, that means they're effectively paying more tax. Now, it's a very bad time indeed to have the level of state confiscation in your pay packet rise, and people are struggling, and families are hard pressed, and it isn't just the very poor. It goes way beyond that. People are struggling because of what is going on globally at the moment. So I think, I'm totally with what Truss was trying to do. I do think she mishandled it. And the first thing you do if you're going to do something highly controversial is not just do it. You need to bring people with you. You need to talk to the Office of Budget Responsibility. You need to prepare the markets. You need to
I do agree with all of that, but the thing is, Anne, I don't think they would have allowed her to succeed even if she had done that. Final point I want to make on this, Anne, I'm interested in your view, but you've got most of the media now, the establishment media and most of the Tory party basically saying to Liz Truss, oh, sit down and shut up. We don't want to hear from you. I'm totally the opposite of that. I actually think Liz Truss has a really important voice, and I think it was great that she spoke out against Jeremy Hunt. Where do you stand?
Well, the party in the country voted for Liz Truss on exactly the principles and the ticket that she was trying to implement. They actually voted for lower taxes. They voted for her for that reason. And I think that is why so many MPs are against her, because, of course, the MPs didn't. They voted for slippery Rishi.
Indeed. Former Tory Minister Anne Widdecombe, thank you so much, Anne. We will speak next week.